So last time I was on my computer, I was creating an awesome web page using my HTML abilities, and some of you said that maybe I should try a framework such as Django. I'm not familiar with Django, and well, this is going to be an experience. So let's see what Django is all about. Here is the web page, and let's start with it. So if I go to Django, it says that I need to first install Django. Okay, I don't want to install Django, and because I'm not a Django developer, and maybe I want to later uninstall it, and why do I have to have this in my computer? And if it starts to create configuration files that then I need to remove and so on. Also, it's Python, so it means that I have to install an interpreter, and maybe I don't want this interpreter installed on my computer. I don't even have this interpreter installed on my computer. So how can I approach this? There is no Docker way to do this, so let's invent our own Docker way to do this. So let's say that we find this says that in order to install Python, we have to run this command, python pip install Django. I guess pip is the package manager for Python, so let's see how to do this. First off, I'm going to Docker run a container. I'm going to use interactive mode because I need to put that command in there. I'm going to map the current directory, this is the command for the current directory, to a folder which I'm going to call code inside the container, and I'm going to run the Python image. So if I run this, I get immediately inside a Python interpreter. In fact, if this is an interpreter, I should be able to run simple Python commands. Hooray, so now I'm a Python programmer. But if I use that command here, it doesn't work, so actually what I need is to run the shell. So I need to run this in a shell, so let's exit this and say, okay, well then run this in a shell. So now I'm in a shell inside the container, and now I can paste this, and whole and behold, it starts downloading Python inside the container, installing and doing all its dependencies, blah blah, and then finally I got there. So if I go back here in order to check that Python is installed, I could run Python and run this script. Okay, so let's run Python. Now I'm back into Python. Import Django, copy, paste, and print the Django version. Okay, let's see. Oh, so I'm even one step ahead of the tutorial. Okay, let's go back, and let's say the next step is to write the first Django app. So to write your first Django app, it says that you once again need to check the version of Python. This is another way to do it, so let's follow this guide. Oh, of course, version on. Okay, it's the same version as I said before, so no surprise there. By the way, this is also a nice tip. I'm copying and pasting commands I may not know from the internet into my computer. If anything goes wrong, at least it goes wrong inside the container, not in my host computer. So that is nice. Okay, so it says that to create a Python project, I have to say Django admin and then a command which is start project, and then I guess this is in fact the name of the project I want to start. So let's paste this, and I want to start the project which is called my Django project with J. My Django project, okay, so let's call it project. Okay. Okay, so good. And what has this done? It has created a directory called the project name, and then, oh yeah, there it is, ls project. Okay, I will find it here. Okay, so let's move that project, move with that project to the code directory, just so I can recover it on my host computer. So if I list code, there is the project directory with all its structure as stated here. Okay, so now I'm done with the generation of the code. At this point, I might be, and it's very strongly suggested that I set up a version control using Git or whatever. And let's go to code project, and then the next command says that we need to run the server. Okay, so because this is running inside the container and the container is not configured to export a port, maybe this is going to run, but it's not going to work because I will not be able to access that port inside the container if I do not change the configuration of the container. However, this is just the beginning of the next step, which is actually the setting up of the image. So inside the image, I'm guessing I'm going to find a command such as this one to run the server. So let's exit here. Let's see that in fact our project is inside there. Okay, good. So next is to Docker Hub, look for Django. Okay, and well, bad news, it says it's deprecated. It says that because this image was already doing certain things not necessary for what it is actually needed for an image, is just building on top of Python and then installing certain things for the Django to work. And in fact, most of these things can be found in the default images. You just have to export it. If you see here, it already says, okay, well, you can use this example as your Docker file to build your Django image. So it's quite handy, and because it's quite handy, I'm going to copy it. Let's copy this, and then let's create our Docker file and paste this here. Okay, let's analyze bit this code. It says that we are going to use the basic Python version 3.4. Okay, let's use that. Then it says apt-get update, apt-get install, PostgreSQL client. Okay, so it's installing a client that maybe is a dependency for Django itself. It says that the working repository is going to be the app directory, and then it says that we are going to copy requirements, but I don't have requirements. But what I did, so I'm going to comment this for the time being. I guess that in the future I can have in that file I can have all the dependencies I need for the Django. So for just to start, I'm going to use again the command pip install the Django, yes, and then I'm going to copy the project directory into the working D, which is up. Okay, all the project directory in that. Then I'm going to expose the port 800, which is actually where the Django server is going to run. Good. And then I have here the command which actually coincides with the command that was recommended before. Okay, so let's save this and let's build this image. Docker build with the tag my Django project on here. So it's now downloading the Python and all the required images that Python builds upon. So in a couple of seconds, hopefully, it will finalize the download of all the images that it needs. Okay, finally, that took a while, so now it's installing the Postgres client, and now it's copying the things there. No, it's still installing now it's copying the things, and then installing the Django, as instructed by the command. Okay. It says something about the pip not being up to date. Well, guess that is okay for the time being. And then finally we get our Django image ready. So let's test it. To test it, well, we know docker run. We have to map to one port, let's say the port 8000, just to be original. And for the time being there are no other configurations, so maybe I just want to make Django project to start it. So let's run it, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work because port 8000 is already allocated. Let's try another port. Apparently it is working, so let's go to localhost and port 8001. This looks like a Django application template. So if I go back to the code and start coding, then I can build my Django application as I need. So as you see, the experience is exactly the same. You create your code. In some cases you might want to use Docker for actually creating your code. Then you look for the framework. In this case was just plain Python. Then you build the image, and then you run the application to test that it's running. So again, it's the same 3 steps for building your application, for building your own image.